got a hold on me. You can tell by the holes in my pockets. So before they get a hold on you, put your money in a safe and lock it. It's getting hot, mama. Oh, it's getting hot. It's getting hot, mama. Yeah, it's getting hot. Take a train ride, hop out on the east side. The women there look right, but they ain't looking at you. You ain't got nothing. Don't try to get on some. They don't want it even if you do. It's getting hot, mama. It's getting hot. It's getting hot, mama. It's getting hot. That light's got a hold on me. I'm hurting, man, I'm bleeding. New York City is the place to be. The hard time you've been needing. It's getting hot, mama. Oh, it's getting hot. It's getting hot.
All right, pretty good, pretty neat. All right. Hey, everybody. Verley couldn't make it today, so just so you understand, I am the fill-in host for the second quarter of 2026, and no Verley, so that means I get to wake up and I get to come in with Adriana, who was not expected to until 7 o'clock, but oh, my Lord, am I glad she showed up because there was all sorts of issues. Let's take a look at what's going on with the traffic. All right. This just went dead, so I need to charge that.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you could do the weather, and I'll bring up the traffic,
Yes,
and then we'll
I
get it going.
can.
She is Adriana Alvarez. I'm Jim Dedelow, and you're listening to AM 1230 WJOB 104.7 FM. You're also watching live on YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. We are live on YouTube.
All right, so there you go. I did not know how to do that, and that's kind of why I was in. All right, so I've got guests. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, the weather for today is we are looking at this very bipolar weather. Currently, right now, at the Shack Events Hill Studios, it is 28 degrees. Today, we're seeing highs of 51, lows of 38, clouds and sun, and then mostly cloudy in the nighttime. And then on Wednesday, highs of 68 degrees, lows of 52, partly sunny and warmer and mostly cloudy. Temperatures Thursday jumps up to 71 degrees and lows of 32, showers and a heavier thunderstorm and an evening thunderstorm or two later on. And then we dip back into the 40s and 50s later on this weekend, and then into the rest of the week, headed into the 60s.
And taking a look at traffic, 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good to Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65. They're all moving along pretty well. A good job by the guys going out to Elkhart, Indiana, and following Crown Point on a kind of an easy walk through semi-state basketball on Saturday. We will have all of the state games from Indianapolis on the radio on WJOB, but we do not have the contract for the state finals. The IHSAA hires us to do the semi-states and a lot of different, a lot of different sports. But Fox has the state finals. I think one day we would like to bid against them for that, but that would require one of you to write a 6 or even a 7-figure check. So we're not there quite yet. Adriana is normally here on Tuesdays. Verley is normally here on Tuesdays, but she is not today. So as I said, I was the host here, 20 years or more. And then I am now working on our Heartland Sports Network almost daily. And today I'll be over there doing the same thing. Mostly, it's a crazy it's a crazy time if you have a business or if you are associated or even if you're just an employee. Go into your marketing department and say, why aren't you guys on Heartland Sports Network or WJOB, because they're killing it. And why are we killing it is partly because there's a pivot to local. And for 20 years, every student who went through a business schools at any university learned how to buy Google ads and how to put Facebook posts up, and all of that works really well, except now we got the same technology and we can do the same thing. So it's, as you can hear by the many sponsors, they kind of discovered us. So I need to go out and tell our story, and for the second quarter of 2026, that's what I'm going to be doing. Oh, man. Yesterday they had Micah Beckwith on. Mm-hmm. Did you see that or hear that?
I did not know.
It was Micah Beckwith is universally just almost disavowed by the Indy Star downstate. And I don't get it, but he is he likes to call up here and talk to Bob Starkey and Chuck Pullen. Hey, I do want to talk about a couple of things that are going on. The Hollywood movie, to share Gary native Michael Jackson's story, is I saw the previews when Alexis and I went to a movie. Have you seen these?
I've seen it, yes.
Yes. Jackson was so popular in his heyday that he could cause traffic jams by rumors that he would be at a shopping mall. And a guy named Antoine Fuqua directed Training Day and the Equalizer films, directed the upcoming movie Michael, which is slated for nationwide release on April 24th. The 2-hour and 10-minute long biopic tells the story of how Jackson's talent was discovered, how he led to Jackson 5, and how he sought to become the world's biggest entertainer. The movie features his life offstage, some of the most iconic performances of his solo career, and the creative ambition that made him one of the world's most influential artists. I don't know how I feel about this.
What, them making movies about the different music stars, or the fact of like the casting of it, or just the movie entirely?
I think that if you look at the totality of what he was accused of doing, mm-hmm. of molesting children, the evidence is fairly strong that it happened. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't know that it happened, and maybe we could celebrate the part of his life that does not deal with that. But there is a lot of testimony and a lot of evidence that he did.
Do you think?
I mean, I think the from what I understand, he was molested as mm-hmm. a child star, and then he went on and he had that Fairyland place that he had in California, and so it could be that it was all blown out of proportion and it wasn't true, and the evidence was manufactured in some way to besmirch his legacy. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of people around here would like to believe. But the preponderance, or the more evidence, is that it did happen, and that there's a huge documentary out where two dudes told their story mm-hmm. of being groomed by him and then regularly molested by him. Mm-hmm. And I think people kind of forgot about it.
I was going to say, do you think that people will go into it, or that the movie will just kind of gloss over it as like maybe a 50-second portion where they're like news stories coming out, boom, 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 and then like time skip? Like they'll just gloss over it really fast.
I don't even know if they can bring that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because a lot of different stars have had movies made about them, or the legacy, and we're seeing that a lot more often as people are wanting to see these movies. Do you think in other forms that they did well with creating that for people?
So, I mean, here it is, the Joseph Pete and Joe Pete always like writes both sides. I don't see in his article that he mentions any of that, right? I mean, are we? Maybe I shouldn't be mentioning it. I mean, it's like, oh well, if it happened, it happened. Oh well, if it didn't happen, here's Eddie Melton. Michael Jackson and the Jackson family's journey began right here in Gary, and that legacy is something our city carries with pride. The upcoming film Michael gives the world another look at where that story started and highlights the greatness that comes from our community. This is an opportunity to celebrate our history while looking ahead, bringing positive attention and new opportunities for residents and visitors, especially as we prepare for the 2300 Jackson Street event this summer honoring the Jackson family. So Mayor Eddie Melton and the rest of the intelligentsia in Gary would be very upset that I'm even mentioning this, as would the Trump administration be very upset if we mention, like, what happened to the Epstein files? Did we somehow forget that young girls were trafficked? And
I think
that
the Clintons have been.
What's that?
The Clintons are testifying at the moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it's showing is that maybe there is a more, I don't know what it shows. Everything it shows to me is just awful.
Is it that if you got money in Hollywood, you can make anything go away?
Well, I think part of it is that the Jackson family rise from Gary is a great story. And the entire family rising to great heights is something that should be celebrated. And the celebration of Michael Jackson to great heights is the biggest height is that where, yes, we should be proud of that part of it. But does the other part have anything to do with this? It's not anything to do with this article. It obviously isn't anything to do with what Eddie Melton's trying to. Mayor Eddie Melton is trying to celebrate, and it's just like with the Epstein class passing around young girls and kind of getting away with it at this point. It just makes you think, what happens? If you rise to the highest levels of any sorts of entertainment, do these negatives kind of fall away? And if you rise to the top of society and politics, entertainment, business, and you've possibly been involved in trafficking young women for your pleasure, does it kind of fall away? Who's gone to jail for it? So
I don't know.
So what would happen is that if you question the movement of society where it's going, then you're like being negative about wealth, or you're being negative about the region producing some mega superstar. But at the same time, I'll never forget looking at those many victims of Epstein, and they're saying it's not just hundreds, it might be thousands.
Yeah.
And many don't want to come forward, and we're just kind of forgetting about it. I think that and we're going on, and is there any truth to the thought that we're in Iran right now to distract from what was really going on with the Epstein files? We don't know, but I'll tell you what, those women that were trafficked, in my mind, have not seen justice.
No, they haven't.
And the young boys who made allegations against Michael Jackson, what is that saying to young boys who are legitimately molested by older men? It's just an awful, awful thing. When the Michael Jackson, when the court documents and the documentary came out about what he was doing at, was it Never Neverland? I forget the name of the place.
Oh, I don't know.
And I was like, man, this is kind of weird. The same exact day, I drove down in downtown Gary, and there's this massive mural of the Jackson 5, and there's Michael Jackson front center. And I think it's too much for people, especially in Gary, to accept that he may have been a child molester. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know what to do with that. It's almost like, oh, well, geez, isn't there any comment on this? And if you are, then you're like dissing Gary, and that's certainly not the case, because I feel like I'm always standing up for Gary and in the Calumet region, so I'm not worried about that. But I can't believe that Joseph Pete would write an article and not mention any of that. And the Maryville-based ECIER Foundation, a nonprofit that seeks to empower youth, will host a premiere screening at 6:30 on Wednesday, April 22nd at a theater in Portage. I don't know what to do with this, and I'm just going to leave it sit there. But I'll tell you what, it's just a comment on where society is. Hey, let's take a short break and reset wherever we're at. And the other part is I need to get my coffee, yes, and then I'll take some of your phone calls on the voice and face of the region.
Tech Credit Union supports the essential role of union labor in building strong communities. That's why we offer hassle-free banking, financial empowerment, and a commitment to your success. Save for the future, handle life's challenges, and trust a partner that stands by hardworking union members. Tech Credit Union, the better option for you and your money. Visit techcu.org or call 800-276-8324. Tech Credit Union, supporting union families every step of the way.
Summer's coming, and Deep River Water Park is taking applications for all positions. We have jobs both inside and out for all ages that offer great benefits. Free admission on your day off for you and a friend. Free uniforms, paid training, make new friends, flexible scheduling, and more. To apply, just go to deepriverwaterpark.com and you're on your way to a summer of rewarding fun.
Deep River Water Park, it's simply splash-tastic.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
Introducing Powers Health, a health system with a new name and a strong legacy of caring for families in our community. One with a tradition of advanced specialized services and a vision for the future. One with a commitment to medical excellence and compassionate care. Everything we do, everything we believe, powers health.
Good morning, everyone. You're listening to the morning show on WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM in Hammond, Indiana. And you're also watching live here on YouTube. So we're going to do a quick traffic and weather update. We're going to do weather first, actually, just so that way. Now I can hear myself. Jim's making his coffee at the moment in time. So let's get this up there. Beautiful. All right, so taking a look at weather. Currently right now at the Check and Van Til Studios, it is 31 degrees. Today we are seeing highs of 51 degrees and lows of 38. Clouds and sun and mostly cloudy tonight. Wednesday, highs of 68 degrees, lows of 52, partly sunny and warmer and mostly cloudy in the nighttime. Thursday we jump up to those higher temperatures of 71 degrees with a low of 32. Showers and a heavier thunderstorm and an evening thunderstorm or two. And then we take a look into the rest of the weekend. We dip back into the low 40s and 50s, and eventually later on next week into the 60s. So that is all for your weather. And we're going to get traffic in a second. You just saw him fly past over there. But I will say these, my one friend who was telling me, he was like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful, so nice outside. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go outside in like 2 hours. It's cold. I'm like, you lied to me. But it's, fake spring, and then we'll probably get snow within the next 2 weeks before we get to actual spring. So we never know. Oh, you're getting your laptop charger. I was like, what you doing over there? But for those of you who are just tuning in, we were talking earlier about the Michael Jackson movie that is set to premiere. I believe it's April 24th, and there's some controversy behind it, because are they going to show just all of the good parts, or are they going to show some of the bad that happened alongside with it? And that's just like with any of these movies that people have been making with these different movie stars. And sometimes they gloss over the bad stuff that's happened, but in others they were just like, nope, everything's all great, sunshine and rainbows. So.
Hey, she is, thank you. I had to make coffee and try to get my somebody just walked in, but trying to get my computer charged up at the same time. Hey, 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65. They're all moving along pretty well. And in terms of what is going on in the weather, as Adriana talked about, there are a number of baseball and softball scrimmages. I know Highland has one at Maryville on Thursday, and they're going to try to get that in if it doesn't storm. And they could be playing that in 80-degree weather, which is really kind of odd at this point in time of where everything's going on. So, hey, I'm glad to be filling in for Verley, and if you guys have anything that you want to talk about, let me know. Adriana, one of the things I wanted to hit today was, we're at a really weird time in America in terms of, this war. We just talked about the Epstein files, about this incredible division in America. And I hate to put it in such a patronizing fashion, but I mean, how are you and your friends internalizing all of this as 22-year-old? You know what I mean? I can't even imagine.
I'm tired of living through historical events, and I would just like a break. It kind of sucks, but honestly, it's made me and my generation a lot more aware, opposed to maybe my parents' generation, where they didn't look at politics as deeply as students do now. And some people say, hey, that's a good thing. You're becoming more aware of what's going on in the world. And that is a fair point. And then there's some people that they're just like, I don't want to look at politics. Politics make me depressed. I'm worried about me, myself, and I, and surviving in the world. And everybody else doesn't really matter. So there's a lot of different sides to it. And looking at it, people have lost friendships over their political views and their morals when it comes to it. So it's definitely a learning experience, to say the least. And I mean, that's just life. I've never been 22, so I don't know how to be 22 adults, so it's a learning experience. But it feels like that with politics as well, and being informed and learning who to listen to, what news source, if you have a preferred news source, which one to listen to. And essentially, if something is brought up in Congress, and or if they're trying to pass a bill, something like that, are you for it? Are you against it? And it's constantly yes, no, okay, state your case. And whatever you say, nobody's ever going to be happy with you.
A lot of folks talk about like the division and the information.
Oh, there's definitely division.
The division and the information you get even. I mean, when I was on vacation, and I was on vacation last week, and it was raining in Florida for like 4 days straight. So what do? If I look like I'm all buffed because I went and worked out 2 hours a day in the middle of the day in Florida because I didn't have anything to do. But, I would go back and forth. I'd watch Fox, and then I'd go watch like CNN. I'd watch what's the other?
And they're complete polar opposites.
And I'm like, are they even covering the same country? I mean, it's like,
are we living in the same area?
Unless there's an emergency like that awful crash yesterday of the Air Canada.
Yeah, and the pilot and co-pilot died, correct?
Yeah, and it was awful. I mean, it was just kind of crazy. It was the day after that Alexis and I flew back from Fort Lauderdale.
How was TSA's
So
lines?
I do want to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
But so we got. I did not want to do this. I was really kind of pissed that I had to go over to the. I want to say it was a South Shore Convention and Visitors Authority building. I don't know if they still do it there, but we went there one time and they weren't. Or a machine wasn't working, and we had waited for like a week for an appointment, and we had to wait, and I had to take off an afternoon, and I had something I had to cancel, and then she had left work, or she had to rush there from work, and we went a second time, and we finally got this pre-check, and I'm like, come on, man, TSA isn't even that bad. You just go there, you wait 10 minutes, and then you go in. Of course, like at Midway, you could see all the people in pre just walking in and going away, and I guess that looks kind of cool. But I was pissed that I had to go, and she's like, I'm tired of waiting at airports and blah, blah, blah. So we go and we get it.
Well, I mean, do you guys get to the airport at like your flight is at 6 p.m. You're walking into the airport at noon.
Well,
or do
for
you guys,
her,
or do you guys go at like, okay, our flight's
so
in an hour?
If it's at O'Hare, we leave. If it's a 6 o'clock flight, we leave at 3. And we park.
You leave at 3?
Leave the house at 3.
Oh, wow. You guys are brave.
Why? Is that late?
Yeah, because traffic, you could be sitting in traffic for maybe 2 hours getting to O'Hare.
Well, I mean, we tend to go in the morning. And that was actually per Verley. Verley's like, I'm like, oh, God, we went to LaGuardia. We sat on a tarmac for 2 hours, and the flight was late, and then they brought us back in. She's like, if you fly in the morning, that first flight out, there's usually not the delays don't back up throughout the day. And she goes, yeah, I typically, I don't know if she
maybe that's
saying
like
that.
Around here in Chicago. I remember flying in Nashville. Flying back here to Chicago from Nashville, I was like, okay, yeah, my flight is at 7 in the morning, like one of the very first flights back to Chicago. Those lines, it was so long, and we weren't in a government shutdown. It was just really long.
The TSA lines are very long.
Just to check in. I was like,
yeah, check in. I mean, we got to Fort Lauderdale Airport at 4:30. And, I was saying yesterday when I came on with Chuck and Starkey that it was, we walked in, I'm like, man, it's going back and forth like a Disney World line, back and forth, back and forth. And then it went out the door, and they're saying on the news, the lines are actually out the door. And then it went out the door across the road.
Into the parking garage.
Yep. And then back and forth inside the parking garage. And so we were on the flight, and I saw that. I think there were 9 or 10 standby people, and I'm like, they're never going to get on. And it helps standby people because a lot of people can't get through TSA in time to make their flight. So evidently a lot of people are missing their flights. But the actual TSA, I could not believe that. And they were saying that it was about a 2-hour wait. If you were lucky, it was probably more like 2 to 2.5 hour. And then the TSA line, we get in line. Alexa's like, wow, I can't believe that this is the TSA line. And it wasn't. It was the clear line, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, they have a bunch of different ones.
Yeah, but they go, oh, yeah, TSA pre is right there. We walked in, threw our bag on the thing, and walked right through in like 5 minutes, tops. Didn't have to take our shoes off or whatever. And it was perfect. And then I saw on the news last night that they're going to be closing a lot of the TSA pre's because they just don't have enough people. And so everyone's going to have to go through the regular. And so if you're getting ready to fly or you're going away for spring break, heaven help you, man. I don't know what in the heck's going to go on. So when I was gone, anything interesting happen here? I mean,
Anything interesting happen here?
I need to talk about? I mean,
Are you saying like news-wise or
Yeah,
like here?
news-wise, yeah.
Well, so we're talking about TSA. We're talking about all that stuff. What are your thoughts on how they're like, we're going to have ICE agents fill in for the TSA people opposed to them just paying the TSA workers?
That was the other thing is that we and others are like, hey, man, thanks for working for nothing. And it was a weird interaction with TSA because typically they're into what you're doing and they're talking to you and they're, hey, how you doing? There was a definite shifting back. Like they were kind of pissed, you know what I mean? And they were like just talking to themselves and laughing amongst themselves. And just from being there and watching, and then Alexis and I got through so quickly, she's like, I'm going to get a Starbucks. And I'm like, well, I'm going to sit here and watch this. It was definitely the morale. You could tell, like when you walk into a business or you walk into a restaurant, you could tell they're like fighting with each other or whatever.
Yeah.
You could tell from the people that were waiting that it was just not, that the morale was bad. Hey, let's take a look at a couple of other things. This is kind of a sad story about an Indiana woman, and the alleged suspect of a triple homicide in Illinois is from Indiana, was taken into custody on Monday afternoon after a man and his parents were found dead in their home during a welfare check. Now, that was in Will County around 2 in the morning on Monday. 3 victims were found deceased at the scene. There were a 32-year-old man and his parents, a 55-year-old man, a 54-year-old woman. Preliminary investigation shows a person of interest fled the scene and was later found in Indiana. So a 30-year-old woman from Indiana. Charges are still pending. There is no threat to the public, and it appears to be a domestic incident in Crete, Illinois, and it was an Indiana woman. Crown Point schools are looking to borrow $150 million after some of these revenue cuts that are going on from the state of Indiana. Chief Financial Officer Matt Roos told the school board last night that the borrowing could be necessary for the school district to make up for expected revenue cuts stemming from Senate Enrolled Act Action 1. Roos said that if the school district were to issue $150 million in bonds, it would have greater flexibility to plan for the next 5 to 10 years when those bonds would be paid off. This simply provides you the greatest amount of flexibility so we can manage the school corporation and maintain what we have. If you guys remember, Senate Enrolled Act 1 cuts property taxes for most homeowners and businesses, with critics of the law largely being local government officials, including schools. Several regions' school districts have sounded the alarm as to what the drop in revenue could mean. In Hammond, a financial consultant told the school board that it projected a $6 million revenue drop because of SEA 1. The Crown Point would cover the cost of the new bonds by raising its debt service levy. Trustee Tim Vassar had, I wonder if that's the same Vassar that's related in Highland. Trustee Tim Vassar had this to say, and I lost it. Sorry about that. And the board's Monday vote isn't final, and that the board's approval only opened up what the board could do in the future because of the uncertainty of SEA. It's kind of a weird time because all these schools are getting cut right at the time when we're really celebrating Crown Point going to the state finals. This should be a classic matchup on Saturday, and you will have to go to the IHSAA Champions Network and pay, I don't know what it is, $14 maybe to watch the Crown Point versus Mount Vernon game. They have Luke Ertl, one of the top players in the country, that will be going up against Dikembe Shaw and Crown Point and Clint Swan. If you want some Clint Swan in your feed, go to Facebook on Heartland Sports and look at the interview that Sam Michael did with Clint Swan last week. It was a pretty good interview as they were going into the semi-state. We send our guys, I think, a 6-person crew out to Elkhart, and then Heartland Sports televises and streams the games and is the only ones doing it, and they do it through the IHSA Champions Network, and the guys really just kind of like to see close games, and they didn't see any of that as Crown Point just whipped their way through that, and it's kind of tough timing to hear talking about needing a $150 million loan to get through and maintain what's going on in Crown Point. If you've been out there, I mean, it is possibly the nicest school on maybe this half of the state. There's a couple in and around Indianapolis that would rival the facilities of Crown Point, but not around here, not really. I mean, the football field, they got a brand new baseball field. The actual building is obviously relatively new after they moved out of downtown Crown Point, and it's just one of those things that you have right now in life in America, is that you have to hold two thoughts at the same time. I mean, you had an economy going along and doing pretty well, and you have to hold that in your head with all of the political discord that's going on and all the accusations that are flying back and forth. I mean, obviously, we just talked about the Michael Jackson movie. You could go there and celebrate Michael Jackson and the Jackson family, but in the back of your head, you have to hold the thought like, well, geez, there's these pretty strong allegations of child molestation, and what do we do with those thoughts? I think actually as a nation we're getting better at saying, all right, let's concentrate on this part and forget about that part. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Do we have any phone calls?
Not at the moment.
Nope. All right, if you guys want to call in at 219-845-1100, I have Jim Slagle is up next. He's going to sit with me. He's an old-time carpenter. He's got some things that he wants to talk about. And then Dave Kuziak's going to join us at about 7:10. So take a short break. I think Slagle's waiting outside. Let him in, and we'll be right back on the Voice and Face of the Region.
Life's biggest challenges don't come with a warning. When legal issues arise, whether it's a car accident, personal injury, criminal charge, or representing you before municipal boards, you need a trusted advocate on your side. At Westland & Bennett, we listen first because your story matters. We provide strategic, personalized legal solutions to protect your rights, your freedom, and your future. Peace of mind starts with a conversation. Call 219-440-7550 today for a free consultation.
Ennigenberg Roofing offers roof replacements, repairs, and new construction. CertainTeed Shingle Master certified, our goal is to treat every customer and project with respect, courtesy, and honesty. Serving Northwest Indiana for over 63 years, contact us for a free roof replacement estimate at 219-365-8879. Mention this ad and receive a free upgrade to CertainTeed Pro Shingles. And Ennigenberg Roofing, 219-365-8879.
Do you like to work with your hands, creating something from nothing? Then think about Laborers Local 41. You'll get 432 hours of apprenticeship training, all while earning a wage with benefits and incurring no student debt. You'll travel to different job sites, learn tons of skills, and in a lot of cases, be the first one on and last one off a job site. It all starts at laborers41.com.
For over 100 years, Roofers Local 26 has been keeping Northwest Indiana dry and safe. Since 1919, our highly trained members have built a reputation for skills, safety, and reliability. With a 4-year apprenticeship and certifications in OSHA safety, first aid, and CPR, we deliver quality you can trust. When you need roofing done right, choose Roofers Local 26, protecting what matters most for over a century. For more information, visit www.roofers26.com.
Hey everybody, AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM. I bet you're a little bit surprised to hear me on a Tuesday. My name's Jim Dedelow. I was a longtime 20-year host here, and I still am, but I am the fill-in host when somebody can't make it, and Verley couldn't make it today, so I am here, and I want everyone to know that I am shifting to work for a couple of months, or at least for the second quarter of 2026, to work on our sports network and to kind of whip that into shape a little bit. Sam Michael is the head baseball coach at Highland, and he has a lot of duties there. So I take up just a little bit of his, but mostly we have built something pretty special and have 25 affiliates, and we've also been made part of the state of Indiana Sports Tech HQ collective. So we got a lot of work to do, and we're honored to have created that, and but it needs some attention, and I have not been able to do that. This second quarter of 2026, there's a whole team of people that Adriana has put together that will be doing the morning show, and then we'll talk about what goes on after July 4th. In terms of the traffic, 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good to Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65. They're all moving along well. Adriana with the weather.
So currently right now at the Sacramento studios, it is 31 degrees today. We are seeing highs of 51 degrees and lows of 38. Cloudy and sun and mostly cloudy tonight. As we move into Wednesday, highs of 68 degrees and lows of 52. Partly sunny and warmer and mostly cloudy in the nighttime as well. Thursday, we jump up to 71 degrees as the high and 32 as the low. Showers and a heavier thunderstorm throughout the day, and then in the evening a thunderstorm or two, and that continues on into the weekend. We dip back into the 40s, 50s, and next week coming into the 60s. So that is all for your weather today.
Got a lot of things going on in the Calumet region, and one of the things, Adriana, is obviously that we need a number of people that are willing to lend a hand in doing radio. In both the morning and in the afternoon eventually. And one of those has joined us right now, and that's Jim Slagle. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good, Jim. Good to see you. It's been a long time since I've been in the studio. First time I've been back here since you guys have moved. And it's looking good. I'm glad you guys are back home.
You'll come over. If you bring it here, that way you can look at me.
Good. That makes it a little more
comfortable.
comfortable.
Yeah, a little more comfortable. So Adriana and Jim Starkey, or Bob Starkey, Bob Starkey's going to kill me for that. They have put a lot of thought and I guess just a lot of planning into this studio, and they want it to be more professional. And these microphones that we have now are more professional, but it just makes it harder. You used to just I'm used to for 40 years having a headset on from doing games. And that's why we went that way. And then finally they're like, hey, man, that's not what people do now. They use these really kind of expensive microphones. So
you got to be right
I apologize that we have to actually, I mean, it does look pretty, if you're watching on YouTube, it looks even more professional than when we had it at Purdue, or certainly when we were here before. But it takes a little bit of getting used to. Jim Slagle, why are you important?
Why? Geez, I don't know if I am anymore.
Here's the number one reason that you're important is that I want Adriana and Lynette and Lori Whalen to have a stable of people they can call on to gobble up microphone time. I know, and I've made it very clear, that we built something really special with Heartland Sports Network, and we're helping a lot of kids get on TV and a lot of businesses get connected with the kids. That takes a lot of work, and I need to go work on that for a little while. So you didn't realize when you texted me last night, I'm like, man, I was going to text that guy. He needs to be in the stable that Adriana could call on. So I appreciate you coming in.
Hey, no
man.
problem. You know I'm not afraid to talk.
Especially during somebody's backswing.
Well, especially yours. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Jim, how long were you with the Carpenters?
Oh, well, I'm still a carpenter because I will never stop being a carpenter. So I have 37 years in now.
And when did you leave the field? Or
7 years ago.
It's been 7 years. So you had 30 years in the field, and then you've been retired. I know you go all the meetings, and you're still active, or
not so active anymore. You know, after a while. So retiring as an agent, it's kind of tough to go back because you know too much, and there's things you know. There's a lot of different nuances once you're a retired agent. The guys want to come to you and ask you questions when it's not your question to answer anymore. So for a while there, I just stayed away and let the guys learn their job and do their job. And so I go back, and if they call me and they want to talk to me, that's fine. But, you know, I don't interject myself, but I still have my strong beliefs.
You know, before we get on to talk to the topic of du jour of the British Petroleum lockout here in Whiting, one of the things that has happened in the 7-year interim, actually just in the last year or so, is that the 3 huge Carpenter locals have merged into
correct.
one local.
2950.
And, you know, 599, 1005, 1485. All of a sudden, I mean, all of that garb. I have all sorts of 599 sweatshirts and hats and coats and stuff. They're all collectibles now, and that is basically consolidation of the Carpenters union locals here in Northwest Indiana, stretching almost all the way to South Bend and certainly very south. How do you feel about it?
Oh, well, you know, so years, even when I was on staff, they merged the millwright locals all into one local for the whole state, right? It's economy of scale. You know, it's less money. Hopefully, they're going to take that money and the extra money that they have, they spend it back on the members and they spend it on organizing. You know, you don't have 3 buildings you're paying for anymore. You don't have 3 executive boards you're paying for anymore. I see both sides, okay? So since being on both sides, I see both sides. I understand how a lot of guys get upset because you get very particular over your local. Your number meant something, right?
Oh, I believe me, you know, I was in 599 since I was a little kid. We took all the chairs and tables for my high school graduation because my uncle ran the hall.
Sure.
And it was, you know, I have very strong, my cousin Dwayne, my little brother, all my nephews, and one niece even is at 599. And they're, you know, it's just a family, I guess, just a closeness with it. Just to see it go away was.
That's the part that hurts the most, right?
Yeah.
It's the fact that just because it might be necessary for the longevity and the economics and everything, doesn't mean it really does the right thing for community. Okay, I've always been. I didn't like when they started merging everybody and putting everything in because I liked having people from that town. People that live in Hammond, if you're locals in Hammond, they're going to be more likely to volunteer around that town. They're not going to go volunteer in LaPorte. That's too far away. You know what I mean? I think you lose a little bit of your local identity and your little bit of connection with community now that you won't have those locals in those areas, if that makes any sense.
Well, I mean, I see both sides of it too. And I don't, you know, Adrian, you may not even know this, but, you know, part of the reason that, you know, we started this sports network that is so trade union based is obviously that I come out of the laborers, which is not a great thing to walk into the 599 hall and say, I know him. He's Kevin Roach's buddy, and he's a laborer, right? And I am. And I am in the Sparks. I mean, I play in the outings with the laborers, and I have laborers' garb, and they helped me establish myself as a man and taught me a lot of things, and I am forever grateful for that. But I'm not just grateful to the laborers. I'm grateful to all of the trades. Certainly my brother's big one now, and my uncle at 599, and the Rexes and the operators, all those guys. Rex tells me that we have a family member in every trade.
Wow.
And so I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty
and
cool.
I feel like when I go out and I talk to a different trade, hey, maybe we can build a sports network that is primarily based on the trades. This goes back to my senior honors thesis at UC Berkeley when I said, listen, we would be much more powerful and much more cohesive with our messaging if we could get the trades not to fight with each other, to establish community amongst the trades. That's why I love going to all the golf outings and seeing like Ronnie Ware give it to Kevin Roach. As a matter of fact, I was sitting at Pirates, and I'm sitting there talking to Ware and Roach, and I'm like, dude, we're like the oldest union dudes here. Let's take a picture, right? You weren't there. Otherwise, you would have been in there. But so there is merit anytime there is an effort to consolidate the unions and the voice. What is it? Maybe 3,000 carpenters?
Yeah, maybe around 4,000.
4,000.
Just around.
Yeah, around 20. Local 2,950.
Yeah.
I think 599 was only 800 or 900. I think 1005 was maybe
1,200.
12. Yeah,
and probably 600 for.
Yeah.
But those numbers could be wrong too, because over the last few years they've done a heck of a job of organizing people and bringing them up. So I'm going by numbers back when I was there. Approximate numbers, but I know they've been doing a great job of bringing people in and changing people's lives.
I went out, obviously 41 is one of our original sponsors, along with 599.
I remember.
And I went out and I go, well, I'll try to hit local 81 out there, the laborers. I had not been to 81 in 35, 40 years. Holy moly, it was a beautiful spread right next to the Valpo airport, and there was way more people than Laborers 41, and I'm like, wow, what happened? Well, the power shifted, the building shifted, and population, everything went south and east, and I was just like, wow, there is really something going on. Well, the same thing with the carpenters, where you guys have certainly Uhas, where Uhas comes out of 1005. I've known Uhas since he was a little kid, running around the neighborhood, and he's done really well with 1005, and then he's moved on to.
Yeah, it's hard to believe I started with that guy.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I still thinking of him.
I'm so proud of all the guys that are still in the organization that I worked with. Several of them have aspired to greatness.
Every time I go, like, to see a carpenter's meeting or something, I'm like, well, where's Uhas? Oh, well, he's got meetings in Washington this week and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, all right. But in general, though, the other side of that is that it has created strength for the carpenters.
If being all together, you have all that number, right? If you get an endorsement from 599, that was 800 or 900 members. But you get an endorsement from 2,950, now you're talking 35 to 4,000, right? So, yeah, it does. It does make all those differences. But getting back to the reason why, too, is because even when I was on staff, there was always rumors that this was going to happen because they'd been doing it all around the country, merging councils, merging locals, doing all that stuff. So I did a study on where our members lived. And we actually had more members that lived in Valpo than lived in Hammond out of 599. We had more members that actually lived in Illinois than actually lived in Hammond in local 599. So people will move wherever they want now. It's not like back in the day where you didn't go but 10 miles for your job, right? And you're driving an hour and a half. What's it matter if you live in Valpo or you live in Warsaw, right? I mean, if you got to drive, you got to drive. So I believe that's probably what they wanted to get someplace. You want your hall to be where people will go to it, right? You got to be kind of centrally located, make it fair for everybody to get there. So that's another reason why you would go and do that, I believe.
You know what? We talked way too long about this. Yeah. So what we tried to do is do little segments that we'll play later. So let's take a short break, and then we're going to talk specifically about the situation at British Petroleum. They locked out Local 7-1. And it is not getting as much play as I thought it would, but Slagle has some things he wants to say about it, and we're going to do that right after this on the Voice and Face of the Region.
Are you sausage curious?
Who's ready for Polish?
Big Frank Sausage has the very best Polish food in the region.
You had a mouthful of Big Frank sausage?
We have a full bar, dine-in, carry-out, delivery, and catering available.
I've had a mouthful of Big Frank sausage.
I've got a mouthful of Big Frank sausage.
219-378-9556. Smacznego i na zdrowie.
Who's ready for Polish?
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes. And welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Strack & Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
IBEW Local 697 electrical contractors bring the highest standard of electrical work to Lake County homes, schools, and businesses. From everyday fixes to once-in-a-lifetime builds, we don't just get the job done, we get it done right and up to the highest safety standards. When you need electrical work, hire the professionals who power Indiana. Powering Indiana, Lake County, bringing excellence to the job, creating a brighter future for our community.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes. And welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Strack & Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM. I know it's Tuesday. You're looking for Verley. Sorry about that. Verley could not make it. And you will hear me from time to time when somebody can't make it. And I will be the fill-in. My name's Jim Dedelow. Was a 20-year host here. And I will be for the second quarter of 2026. I will be working on sports and giving our many affiliates the attention that they deserve. It has grown just astronomically on the Heartland Sports Network, and I need to get over there and work on a few things. You have put Kinsey's podcast up and Schultz's podcast up, and they're ready to go. So one of the things that we'll be doing is we'll be doing a podcast of the many athletic directors, and we'll kind of move to coaches and some players. But for now, we're just trying to get some athletic directors. If you want to get on this podcast, which I don't like your guys' name for it, so I'm not going to say it, but the podcast itself that Adriana has put together with Joe Cimino is interviewing a lot of athletic directors, talking about NILs, talking about seasons, talking about changes in IHSAA. You can go find the first two. What's the name of it? Come on. It's the Region Blueprint, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Region Blueprint Athletic Podcast. I believe. There's like a few more words in there.
Yeah,
but they put a bunch of keywords in there.
But if you look it up under the Region Blueprint, you'll be able to see Sean Kinsey out of Morton and Mike Schultz out of Munster is the first one. Go to Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Let's look at what's going on with the traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan. You know what? Very little traffic. Weather with Adriana.
So currently right now at the Strack & Van Til Studios, it is, it got colder. That's not fun. It's 29 degrees. Today we're seeing highs of 51, lows of 38. Just cloudy weather. And then moving into tomorrow, Wednesday, high of 68, low of 52. Partly sunny and warmer, mostly cloudy in the nighttime. Thursday, we're seeing thunderstorms, highs of 71, lows of 32. Thunderstorms throughout the day and in the evening. Then we go into the weekend with 40s and 50-degree temperatures. And then next week, we jump up into the 60s.
I will just read it out of the Times. The new United Steelworkers International president condemned BP for locking out more than 800 workers out of its Whiting refinery and called on the company to negotiate a fair contract in good faith. The new president is Roxanne Brown. She said the company has escalated tensions instead of respecting workers and working toward a fair agreement. Union leaders said a new contract needed to prioritize job security, safety, and fair wages after inflation. Here's what Brown said. She said BP's decision to lock out these skilled workers is unacceptable and unlawful. Generations of union members have kept this refinery running safely and efficiently, and they deserve a contract that reflects their value, not intimidation tactics designed to force concessions. BP Whiting refinery manager Chris Delafranco said in a video update to employees that the company's proposals were critical to the long-term sustainability of the 137-year-old refinery. Our refinery has been operating in a continued state of labor uncertainty. This lockout was necessary in order to allow a safe and orderly transfer of operations while negotiations continue. What's happening out there?
Nothing good. Nothing good at all. Nothing good at all for either side. I have on my bowling
Hold
team.
on a second. Is this mic on?
Yes.
Okay. Keep going.
I have on my bowling team, I have one guy locked in and one guy locked out. It hits home. It hits home for almost everybody in the region. You know somebody that's either locked out or locked in. And I just don't see how it's good for anybody in the long run. But what I want to say too is as a union member, my whole life, my whole family, everybody I know just about is a union member. Lockouts are completely different than strikes. Okay, different rules you have to follow because the laws are just different. Sorry,
there you go.
The laws are just different, right? So, but all the union members, all the trades and all the trades that go in there, they need to know what their rights are, right? And because once there's something that happens, a lot of times the union officials aren't allowed to speak about certain things because it's against the law to give directions of you can't tell them to cross or not to cross. You just can't do it. It's illegal. You start doing that, they can sue you out of existence pretty quickly because the NMA and the contracts that you have, jobs got to get done. But as individual union members, you should know what's right already. You shouldn't have to be told. I got to tell you, I've never crossed a picket line in my life, and that's the way. You should know what you're supposed to do. If you see somebody walking a picket line, if they're attacking their rights to collective bargaining and to make fair wages, they're going to come after you next. If they can succeed and crush and get all these concessions and stuff, that's bad for everybody. They're going after the mills next. I mean, you start giving them wins. And I don't really want to say is wins because, gosh darn it, I mean, there's enough money out there. They're making record profits, and 137 years sustainability, it's been going for 137. They're not shutting that damn refinery down. I'm here to tell you, right? It's going to keep going. But our people live here, work here around this thing every day. They deserve a fair living wage with not being scared of their jobs being tried to pull away from them. They want to cut 100 jobs, right? That's great paying jobs. Those are family members eating. Those are pensions. Those are people going to your restaurants. They bring in all these out of town workers. All that money's going back. You want to talk about talking about illegal immigrants coming in and taking all your jobs? Well, it's kind of the same thing because if they come get your job and send their money back to Ecuador or Venezuela or whatever, what's the difference between them coming here and making all the money and going back to Louisiana or Texas? Our economy's not benefiting from any of it. We're the ones that live by this place. It should be our people getting those good paying jobs.
Just in all transparency, obviously, one of our larger sponsors is Local 7-1, along with just about every trade. If your trade's not doing something here, then you should probably be asking why. But I worked out there, and certainly we're proud to have Local 7-1 on with us. BP is not a sponsor, just so everybody understands that. But you guys know I've been doing this for a long time, that I'm going to be fair and try to present what people will want to talk about. But the thing that bothers me is that I was out there and working, and that was back when the laborers could actually help with the scaffolding. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if I was supposed to, but I was work out there with my Uncle Danny a lot, and he'd be like, I want him, and, well, he's not a carpenter. Well, I want him carrying on my scaffold, and now I trust it, whatever. So I worked out there a decent amount, and I just remember 40 years ago being put through just an immense amount of training and people telling you need to go over there and sit through these ridiculously boring sessions, and they are boring, but they've been completely trained on what the different valves are and what you're not supposed to touch, where you're not supposed to walk. Certainly you can't smoke, and it was back in the day when you could go out on Indianapolis Boulevard and have a cigarette. But and the number one thing, and then I took a tour a few years ago just to see the big crane they had, the big circular crane.
During the project?
Yeah, during the project. And the thing that comes to my mind, outside of fair living wages and that kind of stuff, is I'm like, how can people operate this thing safely? And that is, I will not get involved in the actual issues that are going on between British Petroleum and Local 7-1, and they are huge issues, and they are far apart from what I understand. But if Local 7-1 operators aren't sitting there operating and turning the different valves, I worry for the safety. And I don't know if they've made accommodations for that, but I think just people don't understand exactly how complicated that place is.
Oh, if you've ever been out there, you figure out in a hurry how complicated that place is. There are valves and pipes everywhere, and if you don't, it would take you years to learn a unit. You can't learn a unit in 2 weeks. So I'm with you. That is a big thing. We live here. That's a big place. That's a big place that could cause big problems if it gets upset.
Well, one of my memories of my mom, Kuziak's coming in, he knew my mom. She used to talk about the explosion. I think it was 1956 explosion where she was thrown off of her seat at Hammond High School as a freshman. And I'm like, wow, that had to be a big deal that if, that many miles away from Hammond High to the refinery, what's that, 2 miles, to throw you off your seat. And I've covered a number of flare-outs where they have to burn off all of the petroleum. It's a beautiful thing. But
unless your car's under it.
Unless your car's under it, and unless you have your BP losing $1 million every few minutes on it. And I get all that, but there's always been a huge safety push out there. And, they used to have the signs, hey, it's been so many days without an accident and that kind of stuff. But people have lost their lives out there outside of the explosion. Oh, yeah. And anyways, I want to put that out there, and I want to be, my comments on that is that I hope that it's safe. I hope that that nothing bad happens during this lockout time. I'm sure British Petroleum has, made, they've had, from what I understand, they've had people there, staying there. But one thing is learning it on a spreadsheet, and the other is walking out into that refinery room and you can't hear anything, and which valve do I turn? It seems like there's too much pressure right now. So let's go back. What exactly is, British Petroleum is making record profits. They have a well-trained workforce. It's 800 workers, which in the scheme of things is just very kind of a minor amount. And we're in the middle of this, war in Iran, where there's not. That's a factor. Where there's already high gas prices. What do you think the strategy is? Why would you go at 800 workers when you're making record profits and gas prices are spiking because of a war?
Because I think they have their opportunity now. Okay, the changes in the DOJ and the DOL have gone towards the management side now. The current administration is more of a management guy and so they've taken away some of our protections, and they get to make those decisions. I think they feel that this is a very vulnerable time because of the Department of Labor being kind of gutted of career people. Almost every unit of government has lost senior people because of the things that have been happening. But I think that's why it would be their goal, in my opinion, of course, just my opinion, to break 7-1. They would love nothing better than to break 7-1. And if they break 7-1, they're going after the steel mills next. If they win one, it'll be a snowball effect, and they're just going to keep coming back and hammering. And gosh darn it, man, we've worked too hard and too long. We got to all stand together and be with these people and not let them break them.
You know, one of the things I didn't quite understand is that I think Marathon settled and a number of other
the internationals, and they have an international contract or a national contract, I believe. Don't hold me to this too, because I'm not an oil worker or steel worker, but they have a national agreement that covers a lot of the basic stuff, but then each individual plant can have their own additions and subtractions. So everybody else said okay, except for British Petroleum here in Whiting.
So that's what I don't understand. I mean, typically when they start to, they set the tone amongst settlements, especially Marathon, and then BP or British Petroleum will fall into line, or maybe British Petroleum will do it first, and then the other ones will see the trend and, well, this is kind of fair. He's making a ton of money. But when it got to Whiting, they brought this one guy in who has busted some unions in other areas, and you could see where it was going. And I guess I hadn't really thought of it being a political thing too, because if Democrats in the White House, they probably don't do this.
They probably don't do that. The Department of Justice or the Department of Labor, they'll both be have people in there that are more like-minded or hopefully more worker friendly. So I'm a realist, right? I understand that corporations need to make money. You don't have a job if they're not making money. But gosh damn it, don't we have a right to live well too? Don't we have a right to put our kids through college and to feed them and to have a little extra money in the bank so we don't have we don't go broke?
So what's this like? I mean, it's kind of a question. I'm like a lawyer now. I already know what it's like. I've walked picket lines and so forth as a union member and as a post-union member. But now all these mostly guys, but guys, men and women, they're not getting a paycheck. And they're walking the picket lines 24/7, from what I understand out here with the glass house or whatever. And British Petroleum has brought in other people. And if I remember correctly, I saw a quote today that they said that our people have, I guess, what do you call, like, replacement workers, I guess would be.
Scabs? Oh, that's what I call them.
All right.
But
let's call them, they just say
call them replacement workers.
Replacement workers have completed over 80,000 hours of training over the past year. During this time, we do not expect an impact on our operations or production. So they've brought in replacement workers that are there locked in to the facility, getting fed, they sleep. There's been temporary quarters put up. And then on the outside, you have Local 7-1 and the many loyalists that are also walking the picket lines on a regular basis. What's that like?
Oh, usually long and boring. But I'll tell you what, when you hear that support and the honks go by, it gives you, reinvigorates you every time you hear that, right? To keep you out there. It was cold the last couple of nights, and those guys are sitting out there by fire barrels. I mean, they're showing the dedication to their union, just like the same dedication they showed when they went into work every day. Okay, those guys there were doing the job the best they could all the time, and walking that picket line, nobody wants to be there.
You know, I just. I try to just, I went on vacation, so obviously, I have a lot of kin that work in there on the union side, and I am in almost all of the different trades. I won't even go into it because I don't want them to be put in any peril. But it just seems odd to me, looking from the outside, that British Petroleum would target whiting in the middle of like this really heavy union area. And I mean, you have to have thoughts on that.
It was the contract was at the right time, okay? Because if it was 2 years from now, you don't know what happened either. But the contract was at the right time. They hired that union buster who was successfully who's done it before. If they can take 7-1 out from Whiting, Indiana, that'd be a big statement, okay? Because this is a very union area. It is a targeted, intentional, and completely planned out of what they're doing. Except that I know some stuff that has gone on, and I got to tell you, you talked about putting your lawyer face on. I'm here to tell you, there ain't a lawyer out there any smarter than any one of us sitting in this room, because to see the mistakes that their corporate lawyers have made is absolutely ridiculously funny. You're a $100 billion, trillion dollar company, and you got scores and scores of lawyers, and they didn't even do their research well enough to make sure that they could have all the injunctions and everything in line before this happened. I mean, come on. They were on strike 8 years ago, and I guess from what I understand, a lot of that leadership has been replaced. A lot of the upper management at BP are all new people. The upper management are not local people anymore. They brought them in from Texas. They brought them in from other non-union refineries. They were used to working around the non-union because that's all they were in Texas, and they bring them all up from there. They have no loyalty to here. They have no loyalty to Northwest Indiana. They're here for their money, and then they're going back. That's they've been planning this for a long time. They've been setting this up and been waiting for the right time to pounce, and this happens to be the time.
So I have put out queries to Cesar Rodriguez, who is sending out some regular communications on the company side, and they have declined to come on with me. And then I put out a query to Eric Schultz at Local 7-1, and I believe that I'm going to have to come in and do a special interview. I don't host the morning show as I go on to work on the sports and make it bigger for carpenters and for 7-1 and the rest of the unions, but I believe I'm going to have him next Monday or Tuesday in a special interview. I hope to have the British Petroleum side on that also.
It'd be nice to hear their side, but
it would be nice. I would like, gosh, I remember one time years ago, Mitch Daniels was having a problem or some sort of issue. I think it was on right to work or something, and he was like, "Well, I'm not going to come on with you. You're in the middle of the the industrial union heartland." And I'm like, "Hey, will you just check around on my reputation for treating people fairly?" And then he called back, "Yeah, I did. I got it, and I'm ready." So out to British Petroleum. I've been doing this off and on from the mid-'80s, and have been known to be fair to just about everybody. And I hope that you would take me up on my invitation to come and lay out exactly what some of the answers that we were unable to really, we're just conjecturing. Tell us. Maybe there's things we don't know that would make sense. But certainly I plan on having Schultz here next Monday or Tuesday, and then I hope to have BP in on this too. So I appreciate it. Any final thoughts you want to give? Is there anything you want to say to the men and women that are on the picket line and they're listening right now?
I got to tell you, I'm so proud of the guys. I actually went there yesterday and spent some time with them and talking to them, trying to build them up a little bit. Just stay the course. Stay the course. Just keep fighting. This is going to be a long battle. It's not going to be a quick one. So you're going to have to tighten it up. If you liked your good paying job, remember, if you lose, it won't be there.
The next person in line is Dave Kuziak. And I remember when his dad was on strike. They lived around the corner when he was a little kid. I was a little, 8th grade, 7th grade, something like that. And I remember having, my mom's like, hey, take this over to the Kuziak's house. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Well, they're on strike and just, don't make a big deal about it, but just, leave it there or something community. Like that. Exactly. And I'm like, I didn't quite understand what that meant, but it means that you really got to tighten your belt. I just hope a lot of the 7-1 men and women, have been good with their money and that, they realize that this might last a while.
Hopefully they had plenty of warning this time. They knew that the negotiations weren't going well because of all the stuff they wanted to throw in there. So they should have been. Hopefully they did, but not everybody has that opportunity either too. So everybody's got their own courses of life they followed, and I don't degrade anybody for doing what they think is best for them and their families. But I'm telling you, what's best for you and your family right now is to win this battle against them. That's good, and it's not only good for them and their families, it's good for everyone in this community and their families. Because with the better paying jobs, it brings up everybody's quality of life in this area.
It's not a national story perhaps quite yet, but I think that it might be, and that is that British Petroleum has locked out 800 local 7-1 steelworkers, and they are on the picket line right now along Indianapolis Boulevard.
If you drive by, give them a honk. They'll love it.
All right, we'll take a short break. Coos is up next on the Voice and Face of the Region.
Ogren Insurance, Hammond's oldest family-owned independent insurance agency, now in its third generation providing clients in the Chicago area with products from quality insurance companies to handle your every need. Regardless of driving history, Ogren Insurance can find the right coverage for you at competitive prices. To learn more about the insurance solutions and services we offer throughout Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or visit our website, ogreninsurance.com. We're located at 6929 Homan Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. Do business locally with someone you know and trust.
When your home needs help, the last thing you need is a faceless corporation or sales-driven franchise. At Myers Companies, we've been proudly local since 1951, born and raised right here in Northwest Indiana. We're family-owned and operated, built on trust, hard work, and integrity. And because we're family, we treat you like family. Your comfort and safety always come first. For HVAC, plumbing, and electrical done right, choose Myers Companies. Local. Family owned. Here for your family.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Open 7 days a week in 4 convenient locations: Highland, Griffith, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, air freshener, and a towel with every wash. It's fast, safe, and gentle. For more information and hours of all our locations, visit myeasyclean.com. Also, see how you can wash your car daily with our $10 Ultimate Wash for only $19.99 per month. Give your car the best clean at Easy Clean Car Wash.
From the gas in your car to the heat in your home and the roads that you drive on, our work powers daily life. We are USW Local 7-1, the proud men and women of the Whiting Refinery. We're not just refinery workers. We're your friends and neighbors, raising our families here, shopping in the same stores, and cheering in the same stands. USW Local 7-1, powering the region because we are the region.
everybody. AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the Calumet region. Verley's not here today. Verley couldn't make it, so I am the fill-in host. I'm Jim Dedelow, and have done this show for like 20 years. And for now, I will be in the second quarter of 2026. Got a lot of work to do on a sports network, so there was a number of people that are rotating in to host, and I want to thank all of them that are keeping it going. But what we want to do is keep continuity. If Wednesday's your day, we're trying not to, move you around and so forth. So we're trying to keep continuity. So I will be the fill-in host. 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road. Hey, man, I don't know why it's so light on the traffic today, but it has been all day. I mean, I guess maybe it's spring break or something. I do want to remind everybody, if you are going anywhere and you're going to go to TSA, I mean, you've seen it all on national news. It leads that. I personally went through it. I went on vacation for a little bit. And coming out of Fort Lauderdale, it was back and forth, thousands of people, and it ran out the door across the parking lot, parking garage of Fort Lauderdale, and then back and forth inside the parking garage. It's a complete mess. I had argued with Alexis about I did not want to go over and get a TSA pre. It was a big hassle, and she made me do it, and I got to tell you, it saved a couple hours waiting. We made our flight. All sorts of people did not make their flight.
We're trying to do that right now.
And is he on? Yeah, okay.
We're trying to fill we're actually filling the paperwork out for that right now.
It takes a little while, dude.
I know. We're going May 2nd.
All right, you got time then. But anybody, you got to go get TSA pre. I don't know what clear is, but the line for clear was really long. TSA pre was walk in and go through. I do want to mention that as the ICE is being put into place in airports, they're also talking about closing some of the TSA pre's so that those people can go over and make regular TSA move faster, and that they can use those places where they were, those conveyor belts that they were using for TSA pre for general, and maybe move everything through. So I don't know, man. I got to tell you, if you're flying, they tell you to get there 2 hours ahead of time. I would say 3 is probably a better number.
It was 2 hours and 40 minutes this morning when I was watching at 4 in the morning at one of the airports. 2 hours. There was someone that did 8 hours. We're clearly being used as pawns by both parties, and it is sad, disgusting, that the people that make the least amount of money in the federal government, which is TSA, are being used as pawns. If I hired somebody and didn't pay them, the federal government would come after me, as they should, and I would be thrown in jail. Charges would be brought against me. But the federal government and the Congress people get paid, both parties. By statute, they have to get paid, are actually having people work, not getting paid. Tell me how that's legal and or fair. We're being used as pawns by both parties. It's unacceptable, and I think there should be a national strike in this country to get the parties to sit in a room together and figure it out. That's my opinion.
We'll talk about that and more right after weather with Adriana Alvarez, who was actually related to this guy who was just talking out of turn.
I didn't know if you guys would actually get to weather. I was like, let me just close that real quick. But currently right now at the Track and Van Til Studios, it is 31 degrees. Today we are seeing highs of 51 degrees and lows of 38, clouds and sun throughout the rest of this day. Moving forward into Wednesday, highs of 68, lows of 52, partly sunny and warmer and mostly cloudy in the nighttime. As we continue on Thursday, highs of 71 degrees and lows of 32, showers and thunderstorms throughout the day and into the evening. And we dip back into the colder temperatures of 40s and 50s throughout the weekend, and moving into next week we will see 60-degree temperatures. So hopefully our fall spring comes to an end and we actually get spring coming up. So.
He's Dave Kuziak. For many years was the Friday host, and has gone, like me, has a business to run, and is able to do that. But once in a while he'll come in and sit with me. Thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you. I've got a job going on right around the corner from where we grew up on Harrison today. So I'll be running there right after. Right down the street.
Mike Carreri's old house?
Right down the street from his house.
Really? I was sitting out in the front yard last summer, and I've got the grandkid in my hands, and then there's this guy running up the street with no shirt on.
Miss Query.
Hold on. And you know how back in the day that jogging shorts used to be like old Bill Clinton, really?
Yeah.
It was almost like he had
played basketball in those.
Yeah, bikini tight shorts. And I'm like,
those need to come back.
And I've got my granddaughter, and she's watching it too. And I'm like, I would know that gate. I knew that gate a block and a half away, and I just waited for Crary to make his way up the hill.
He's like a health nut now.
He's a health nut.
He's all chiseled up.
He's all chiseled up, and he's jogging around in like bikini shorts and a
He was always
no
kind
shirt.
of a BA, wasn't he?
What?
Crary was kind of always a BA back in the day.
Well, I mean, I hung out with him a lot. And
yeah, but you guys were 7 years older, so it was like, oh man, Mike Crary, that dude, you don't want to mess with that guy.
And it's kind of the same way still. He's still kind of a badass. You know what I mean? He's kind of a, you know, he's so nice when you talk to him and so forth, but don't cross him. But you brought up Harrison, and every time I drive down that road, I just remember just causing all sorts of havoc on that street and by the train tracks and Bob Eisman and it was crazy.
I did Bob Eisman's roof. He's passed away. I did his roof. I did his father's roof. I'm working on Harrison. I want to thank all of our customers. We had our best year ever last year. We just hired 2 carpenters last Friday. We are rocking and rolling, and I appreciate all the customers, and many of them are listeners. And one of the reasons why it's hard to do a Friday, and then we may do some stuff in the afternoon. Who knows? We want to do a little bit more region roundtable, which we started right there, right behind Lori. In that small little studio there, when we brought many different people from many different walks of life around a round table. We called it the Region Round Table. And then would then go and experience some of the coldest beer in town. And so if the rules, we'll have to talk to management here. You know management very well here. We'll have to see if they allow us popping a bottle of wine. You ever see Joe Tobacco?
You know, management is technically sitting over there. Those two right now.
I'm looking at
Adriana and
the
Lori.
The best thing would be a bottle of Pinot Noir with 3 or 4 adults and having a nice conversation about some of the topics of the day. If you ever watch Joe Tobacco out of New York, that's perfect. I think he's a Staten Island guy. And they pop a bottle of wine open and start having some conversation. No one needs to scream in each other's face, and everybody has a viewpoint, and just like we did back in Region Roundtable. So those were good days. That's probably – I have quite a few of the people that are at the highest level that want to come on and talk about some issues. So I think that'll come up at one point or another.
So it's kind of weird. I went on vacation for 8 days. And in the old day, I would go on vacation. I'd get a call every day. Hey, what about this? Or hey, I'd have to go on and answer. And I went for 8 days. No one contacted me, and I kind of felt like
you felt irrelevant.
I felt irrelevant, and part of it,
Jim, we've been trying to tell you that for a long time.
and
you're the last to know.
I own 2 companies. I own WJOB, which is Adriana and Lori are sitting right there. And then I got Sam Michael and Ben over there doing the semi-state basketball of Crown Point. They got 6 persons. Nobody on either company called me for anything, and I'm texting everybody. Hey, do you guys need anything? Hey, does anybody need call me? Nobody.
I told you we wouldn't burn the place down.
Yeah,
we did it. There was no ragers thrown.
Everyone's
we didn't burn the house down.
Adriana?
Yeah, we're all good. We made sure we cleaned up everything before you got here, so there was no
like
evidence.
Party. It was like high school party.
Yeah,
don't clean too much.
Yeah,
parents would always find out because if the house was cleaner when they got back than when they left, they knew there was a party.
Yeah, you got to spill something real quick and just leave it there. It's oh, sorry, yeah, I meant to get that later.
There's a lot. Once again, I've no Verley today, but there are a lot of topics on there, and I know I haven't taken that many phone calls. Thanks a lot.
Can
to
I please
Jim.
just say one thing? About,
yeah, we got
I know, but I just want to say,
the
celebration of life for Mrs. Holzback is this Thursday from 4 to 7. Betty Holzback, that passed away, lived many years on the north side. I want to say it was Weg they lived on, right down the street from Edward Valve. They were going to wait till the summer to try to get all the grandkids together, and they just couldn't do it. So they're doing a celebration of life this Thursday from 4 to 7 at Geisen and Crown Point, 4 to 7.
And can you look up when Steve Robluski's is? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Robes didn't. I thought Robes didn't.
They already had it.
I thought
might have been when I was gone.
I think it might have been. But anyway, they were actually Miss Solzbeck had passed away probably about a month ago, and they were. You know, obviously, Steve, your grandson, your stepson is the oldest. I want to say is the oldest grandkid. They were trying to get all of them together and maybe do a family reunion, and it just wasn't able to happen. So I talked with David yesterday, and Celebration of Life. Laura, who's married to Mike Conquest, and David are the last. They've lost two brother and sister each. And Celebration of Life for Mrs. Holzback will be this Thursday at Geisen Funeral Home from 4 to 7.
Dave Kuziak's here. I'm Jim Dedelow. Let's just take some phone calls and do that right now. 219-845-1100. And, hey, you are on the air. How are you?
All right. How you doing, guys?
Good. What's happening?
In regard to this lockout at BP, I spent 30 years working out there, 19 under Amoco and 11 under BP. And these scabs are bringing in to actually operate that refinery. I got a little message for them. You know, BP loves contractors. They since Jump Street, when they first came in a refinery back in 1999, I think it was, they told everybody, we're here to make money. We don't know Whiting jack. If we can't make money, Whiting will just drop this place like a bad habit. They proceeded to cut the budget for maintenance, run equipment to a fault. They love contractors. The biggest reason is contractors kick back the management, and the other thing is they disregard safety. They love. I actually stopped a couple of jobs myself where they had these contractors working unsafe in acid areas and no goggles, spray painting the inside of tanks with no respirators, this kind of thing. I've seen injuries and fatalities there, mostly contractors because they were working unsafe. BP doesn't care. After the big debacle in Texas City, where 17 people were killed, their BP's response was to go ahead and send a notice out to everybody in the refinery that if an event like this happens on your site, get yourself a lawyer. You will not get legal protection from BP. So my message to these scabs that are inside a refinery operating that place, make sure you got a lawyer lined up in case something happens, because BP will act like they never met you. Good luck.
All right. I do want to say one thing. I mean, I appreciate your opinion. The allegations of kickbacks to management, I've never, I don't see any
I have quite a few friends.
allegations of that. I mean, we'll leave that out.
I have quite a few friends that are management and hourly, and a family that's very close to me that the father is management and the son is hourly. And I can guarantee you that my buddy has never gotten a kickback from any contractor. But, hey, anyone can say anything.
Yeah, you can say anything. But I think you bring up a good point, and that is the safety of one of the most dangerous places in America to work.
It is one of the most dangerous places. I worked in a refinery for 6.5 years. BP has stringent safety rules and regulations, but that place is a tinderbox that's ready to go up at any time. And that comes from people that work there every day. It is just the nature of what they do. If you have a problem, it can be very problematic. This is my dad used to tell me all the time, and he was one of the biggest union guys there was, and union leader and strike coordinator. When people start saying someone's making too much money, normally that comes out of the mouth of someone that has a job where they come home every day. You go to BP, you work in the steel mills, you work at some of these places, that place can go up. People die there. And for those people that have never worked in a steel mill and or a refinery, it takes years off your life, the environment that you work in. So just remember that when you're working in an office somewhere else. When you're working in a refinery, all the inhalants that you're bringing in, the constant humming of 85 decibels and greater, it is a fact that those people that work in the steel mill and work in refineries make good money because they earn it, and they could die at any time, but it also takes days off of their lives.
Final comment, caller. Oh, we lost him? Okay, let's go.
That was it.
Yeah, let's go to another one. 219-845-1100. Hey, you're on the air. What's up?
Caller.
Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. All right, let's go to another one.
All right, no problem.
219-845-1100. I know there's a little delay on
there
bringing
is.
them in, but go ahead and just.
Yeah,
hey, you're on the air.
I was a teenager back in the mid 50s, when they had their big explosion. My parents' home was near Bishop Knoll, and when it exploded, and there were multiple explosions. When that exploded, you could feel the heat at Bishop Knoll from Whiting. Very impressive. But, we following this in the newspapers, my sense is that the management has been plotting this for some time. This is not something that they're reacting to just the events here locally. I suspect a decision was made at a very high level to push this to the point where you make an offer that there's no way the union can accept, and then you lock them out.
I think, Walt, everybody on
guess.
both sides were very much aware of this. My dear late friend Tom Kyleman, who passed away this last year, was involved in corporate communications and was very dear friends with Randy Palmatier, who who represents the building trades that work in there. And they had been talking about this. This was no secret. Both sides were when they made the deal 8 years ago after the strike. Everybody knew that this was going to be coming, and both sides were ready for it. Everyone knew the fight was coming, and so there's been repercussions for years. And so I think both sides are ready. I think this is going to be a long one, and we're going to see how it plays out.
Well, why do you think now?
I don't know.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I mean, Walt, the business professor, he and I've gone back at a lot. I have a little. I think Slagle was on in the last segment and said, well, the political environment is favorable, and the DOL and the DOJ, and now might be the time when.
Yeah, but they might not. Jimmy, they started this after the last. They knew after the last one that they gave. Management felt that they gave more than they wanted to. So you don't know 8 years from when the last strike was who's going to be in charge. It's advantageous for them at this point because typically under Republican rule, they take resources away from the Department of Labor, and typically during Democratic rule, they put additional resources into the Department of Labor. But there has been a movement from the Republican Party at the state of Indiana. Now, this is multinational. This is big boys stuff, bigger than Indiana. But there has been a move by the Indiana Republican Party to be friendly to the unions. And even if you talk to, and I brought Randy's name up before, he'll tell you that they call them union Republican, or friendly. There's a term they use, basically being friendly to the unions, and they're Republican. And you could look at their PAC where they have given money to those people that are Republican in the state that has helped their cause. This is above that pay grade. This is above Indiana. This is even above the United States of America. This is a multinational corporation that is determined that they are going to break the union, and they feel that the cost is too much to operate at this plant. That's at the end of the day, that's what it is. I went through one of these. That's why I have one of my that's why I started my company. They brought a guy in from Germany that came into Corn Products, and he was the hatchet man. He came through and looked at everything, and the next thing you know, he left 6 months later, and there was a buyout for everybody. They cut the workforce by 10%. They changed a bunch of the work rules, and that was 26 years ago at Corn Products. So this is not a new thing that happens to companies. This is how they do it.
Walt, what do you think is going to happen here?
I don't know. The more I think about it, there may be a general trend. I mean, there was a time when a third of the American workforce was unionized. It's down, particularly in manufacturing and so forth is in single digits, and the only growth in the union membership in this country is through government, and it could be that's part of. I mean, when they make big decisions like that, there's no one reason. It's like going to war. There's no one reason people go to war, but it's. I don't know. I'm not close enough to. I just followed through the paper. Let me just an aside item. You mentioned that Tom Kyleman passed away. Do you remember what? Almost 20 years ago, I walked into the restaurant in North Hammond. There was a Polish-oriented place, and there were Kuziak and Kyleman and others waved me over, and I sat down, and everybody was drinking.
That's
some
my
alcohol,
guy.
and
That's my guy. God rest his soul. Let me tell you, he fought as long as he could to keep that from happening. I sat next to him and Randy and others, and Tom in his heart was a union guy, and he was a fair guy, and he helped the union as long as he could. He knew this was happening. He talked about it all the time, and it is happening, and he was a smart guy. He also was very influential in the 1858 and 1001, and basically had a little bit of regret that went too far. So the pendulum always swings too far. They were taxing them too much before 1858, and then he agreed that they gave too much power to the corporations they can basically self-assess their equipment. And then the 1, 2, 3 said went too far. So he said the pendulum needs to swing back a little bit towards the center. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I would tell you this, if you were a Democrat in this state with everything that's going on, I think they would be able to put together a platform if you had some young Democrats that were business-minded, and they put a platform together that stemmed all the way from education all the way into how they're taxing people, especially with the SB1 that just happened. This would be an opportunity. Now, I've been around long enough where there was a House that was Democratic-led, and there was the executive mansion, the governor, for close to 16 years that was Democratic rule. So it's not that it's out of the realm of possibility, but you have to speak the language. You're not going to win in Indiana by going on cultural issues. You need to win on talking about education and workforce development and core issues like that. And I think that this is a perfect time for the Democrats if they wanted to try to pick some seats up.
Well, just what you want to see. Democrats doing well, right?
of course not. They want to put guys in women's bathrooms and changing rooms, and they want to put guys in women's sports. All wonderful things like that.
How many people?
Not only no, but hell no.
This is what kills me about that. How many people? And I have two daughters. I would be completely outraged if my daughter made it to the state championship of any sport, and she had to compete against someone who was born a male. But I agree with you. How many in the United States of America? Is there 30? Is there 50? So with all these issues, see, this is both sides. They go take an issue and they go want to talk about. So we have all these other issues. All right. So after let's just use the year 2000 when Bill Clinton left. From 2000 on, there's there's one thing that I could say that both parties have done. We're fatter, broker, and dumber in 25 years. And both parties have their name on it. We're $38 trillion in debt. Okay. We're obese as a country, and our test scores are the lowest they've ever been. So if you're a consumer and you're going to go buy from someone and both parties say we're dumber, fatter, and broker, why would you go to those two people again? And people are speaking this. As much as they're unhappy with what's going on in the Trump administration, the favorability of the Democratic Party is at an all-time low, which basically people are saying what I'm saying. They're fed up with both. We need a common-sense party to come in and take the 50% of this country and go solve some issues, as opposed to the two parties that are trying to break us apart for their own personal gain. Look at what we have going on right now. These two parties are using people as pawns, and the American people are standing in line at airports, and they're ready to leave for 2 weeks. For anyone that disagrees with me, go fly somewhere. Go fly somewhere and tell me that you think your federal government's working for you. They're working for each other to protect each other, to battle each other, and they're using us as pawns. I find that appalling at best.
Walt, final comment.
The Democrats are the ones who are responsible for. The Democrats are responsible for this.
I've heard that,
Walt.
They
like better than to pound on innocent people like the Coast Guardsmen, the TSA, the Secret Service, and people like that, particularly at a time of a heightened national security threat. It's a pure Democrat thing, and the reason they're doing what they're doing is because there's surveys show that the people waiting in line at the airports are blaming Republicans for the outcome.
All
but
right,
it's the
thanks
Democrats
a lot, Walt.
who initiated this.
You know, Coos, I disagree with you on one thing.
It's okay. Just one?
Well, I mean, I'm with. I agree. You know that I'm kind of fed up with both. I mean, I'm so looking forward to having the second quarter of 2026 not talking about the division in America and the politics.
People are tired of it.
But your call that, yes, people are tired of it, but when it comes down to brass tacks, like Walt will even call in, man, everybody's messed up. But then in the end, it's all Democrats' fault.
Well, and then the other thing,
you know what I mean?
And then the
Democrats,
the Democrats say it's others. I was sitting in the hot tub the other day, and these guys are talking, and one guy's a big Trump guy, the other guy's not. I said, here's the deal. You believe what you believe, but guess what? You both are one vote each. This is not new to this country. It's not new to this country. So you have to get in a room and figure it out. What will you accept? What will you accept? Of course, I understand the other guy's an idiot. You guys won. The other guy's an idiot. The other guy's an idiot. The other guy's an idiot. You're the only smart guy. I got it. You know what that's going to lead to? 18% of the people. I'm probably going to call in. I'll be in Florida. Kevin Patrick's going to take election night coverage. I'll call in. My prediction, 18% participation in the primary. 18%. And then if you extrapolate the fact that 1 out of every 2 eligible voters are signed up, that would mean 9% of the people in this area will determine who our leaders are. So less than 1 out of 10 people. And it's getting less because people are doing exactly what you said. They don't want anything to do with it. It's called toxic. So when that happens, that's a negative thing because the only people that get involved are really, really hard right or really, really hard left. So you're actually doing a disservice to the people that are in the middle that just want to live their life. They just want to work, see their kids have a good life, get educated, live their life. These people that are keeping themselves in power, that are fighting the other person, heaven forbid, Jim, if your mom and dad were one a Democrat and one a Republican, you know that happens in this world where there's people in a family where one's a Democrat and one's. So is the other person that both had you, is the other person an idiot? Is the other person you can't? So your mom and I've seen that all the time. There's people that are the different parties. They seem to stay married. And I love this whole thing of you're not with me 100%, you're a rhino. Who gets their way 100% in this world? I'd love to know because it's not me. And I own the company and I'm the man of the household. Do you think I get my way 50% of the time? I know you don't get your way 50% of the time. So everyone in your life, your kids and your wife and they're idiots? Because that's how these politicians act. If you're not with me 100% of the time, you're not a Democrat or you're not a Republican. That's just absurd.
Well, you married Adriana's relative, and I know you're down to like 10% of the time in your house.
There was 4 of us growing up. I'd like to see if I got Lori knows. Did I get my way 25% of the time? I'm just trying to figure out, is there a scorecard or something that is there someone that I could send this to? Is there arbitration? Where I can say, I want my way, I didn't get my way 25% of the time. Can I raise my hand?
Hey, Lori, can you go see if somebody's at the door? And
no,
open it?
There's nobody at the door.
Oh,
there's a camera now.
Yeah, we have
a
camera.
You're now.
Fine.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hey, let's take some phone calls. 219-845-1100.
Hello?
Hey, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, this is MX.
No kidding.
How did I know Jimmy Slagle was going to say Trump is bad? You know, history repeating itself. I've got more time in the union than Slagle, Dedelow, and Kuziak, okay? I got over 51 years. That's more time than all 3 you've got. Now, what happens here is We had the same thing happen to us starting in 84 when we were at 27,000 people at Inland. I worked for Field Forces, which is a construction outfit. We had the work, but unfortunately they laid us off to bring the contractors in. And Jimmy Schlegel and the boys had no problem crossing our picket line, okay? So what our union did, and Hargrove is the best president, and Mezzo, they got contracting out. That means the in-house people do the work first, then the outside union comes in. You just can't come in here and say DOJ, FOJ, because when everybody got laid off, every president was in there. It was Clinton, it was Obama. So this coming in right off the bat with Jimmy Schlegel saying Trump is bad, you lost me already, all right? Because your guys crossed the picket line when we had one, Field Forces. So what these guys got to do is, these new leaders in these unions have to go back in history.
Oh, I don't give Clinton a pass. They're part. Clinton's the reason why Hillary Clinton lost was because they were for NAFTA.
Trans-Pacific Partnership is why she lost. And Trump, bad Trump, like Schlegel said, got rid of Trans-Pacific Partnership, or there wouldn't be no steel mills. So when you come in as a guest, don't say Trump is bad, because you know what?
Well, he doesn't have the ability to have his own opinion.
All them presidents, we lost people. But thank God to Hargrove, President Hargrove, that him and Mezzo got contracting out. We were sheeting up on a roof, right? I had a broken leg. I was in arbitration. I broke my leg on my dirt bike, so I was invited to the arbitration, right? The arbitrator comes out and says, how come Field Force guys, which is us, are sheeting that roof over there, and they couldn't sheet that roof that blew up when you had guys laid off? That's how we got contracting out, and then I got back pay. It isn't all about grabbing money. You have to take care of your workers and have job security. Remember the old term job security, Kuziak? I'm bringing it up your memory. Remember that one?
I
or
know.
Don't you remember it?
I lived more of that than you did, my friend. My father was a
you
strike
didn't.
coordinator.
I'm older
Yes,
than
I
you,
did.
Kuziak.
And so the thing of it is your opinion is no different.
Minor,
Listen, your opinion is worth one. It's no different than Jim Schlegel's opinion. He doesn't get an
my
opinion.
opinion is right. Okay,
of course it is.
Well, thank you so much for your correct opinion, but we got to keep going through these phone calls at the moment.
So you're telling me Jim Schlegel's a guy that's lived his whole union? I know, but just the whole thought process. Jim Schlegel, you don't have to like Jim Schlegel, but I have never heard someone say that Jim Schlegel has not given his life for the union. Okay, I just all I know, and I'll tell you a funny story about Jimmy Schlegel. We're dear friends. He calls me up, and I've told him before. You guys know that we are a residential, non-union company. We do work for some of the people that MX just said at their personal homes because we don't mess with commercial work. I'm donating the fence to Goodfellas, okay? Lori knows very well that piece of property. Donating the fence because I've been
a second.
And so, no, listen. So he calls me as BA, and we're very dear friends. And he says, hey, I need to go to lunch with you. I said, oh, no problem, Jimmy. He goes, this isn't a friendly lunch. I said, okay. So we went to Traditions and sat down, and he started out by saying, I got a call from one of my guys that you're working on a commercial building in East Chicago. I said, oh, yeah, which one is that? He said it's on the corner of a railroad in Columbus. I said it's actually Penryn, to be honest with you, if you want the official one. Would you like to tell your guys that they could take that at any time because I'm donating the fence with Jerry Kundich? And we put a sign up because we donated it, and it's a personal club of mine. And we're a nonprofit that gives back to the community. So we actually are making no money. He goes, oh, okay. I appreciate it. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. What do you want for lunch? So he is as union as they come. So you could say anything you want about him personally, or you don't like him or this or that. But you can't say that he hasn't stepped up for his union brethren, okay? You just can't. You just can't say that. I mean, it's just not. And in the year 2025 or whatever year we're in, what is it, 26? What are we in?
26.
26?
Yes.
That's called fake news. that Jimmy is not with the union.
All right, I got a couple more. You know, I got a pretty good Slagle story that I cannot tell right now, but I do want to point out that there is something happening right now in the labor world. And, that's honestly, that's what I studied in college and wrote my thesis on and so forth. And to some extent, it's kind of interesting right now, but there are a lot of people that are suffering right now, especially at Local 7-1.
Not yet, because they're getting their strike pay. So here's what happens.
Now, hold on.
It takes time. It takes time before the pain.
But
because
there's another one that's brewing. Yeah. And I think that the British Petroleum locking out the workers is going to take is a huge testing point right now. But there's another one going on, and that is at NIPSCO. The local, 12775. I think the contract is up next week. Let's see what NIPSCO does, and let's see what the union does, because they don't have one yet, and that ends next week. What do you think is going to happen there?
I don't know the bylaws of that, because sometimes you can't strike because I don't know if you're considered essential. But what will end up happening with that's a little bit different is if NIPSCO's actually thinking about doing the same thing that BP is, then they have some crews ready to come in here, because the first thing that will happen is when we have our first storm, and we're going into April, and there's going to be a storm. It's one thing to sit and say you're going to do this at a refinery. You may not have as much capacity. You may not make as much because you have your replacement guys in. Try calling all your customers after you just had a substantial rate increase that people are pissed about, that their electric and or gas is not on because you're on strike. That's a little bit of a different story, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they're not going to come after their guys. There's people who would say that those two positions, NIPSCO and BP, are two of the best jobs that you can get in Northwest Indiana. They are. They're probably two of the best, highest, and next to the steel mills. The reason that those positions are paid so high is just like I said earlier. People, first of all, the NIPSCO guys work their tail off. When you're inside your house and it's 10 degrees out, or there's a storm and everyone's hunkering down, they're out getting the electric back up, okay? Same thing in the steel mills and the refineries. When they run 24/7, there is no, it's a holiday. 24/7 means 24/7, okay? I worked in a refinery. You have to give your firstborn before you shut that plant down.
We got to stop you right there. Hey, Adriana, I will say that you and Lori have not been able to get something done that I think needs to be done, and that Dave Kuziak is an outstanding radio personality, and he is not in your lineup, Adriana, and he is not in your lineup.
How about Rick
Lori?
Federici coming in the paper today from 19 years ago? Rick Federici, WIMS, has just announced that CBS, who may have been one of the first news organizations in the history of radio, will no longer be providing news to WIMS and others throughout this entire country. And that reminded me, when I read that story this morning in the Times, it was 19 years ago that he left here, and before that it was Federici and Friends, which I was a part of, and those were really, really good times. And so this is a changing medium, and when you see if that Next Star, is that what it's called, Next Star merger goes forward, you will see the largest layoffs in this medium that you've seen in the history of radio and television.
Well, certainly we're getting.
I'll guarantee that you will see that.
But certainly the medium itself is doing, 93% of people listen to radio during a week, and the medium itself is getting massive consolidations. Believe me, it's not like I haven't gotten the emails or the letters, and it's very difficult in that environment to maintain, to be independent. So I understand all of the radio owners that sell out to the big guys.
Everyone, it's the same thing that's been going on in all industries.
But we've been independent for 102 years. Let's keep it going. Hey, we also got to pay bills.
I was going to say, we got to keep going, and we got a show
next. You cut
next.
off MX.
I did cut him off because we were supposed to get through the phone calls, and we got a show coming up unless they don't mind sitting back another 10 minutes, but that's up to you guys.
No, we got to go.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody who's waiting, which I guess is like a half dozen people, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to take it. We got to move on. Dave Kuziak, you're so good, and I don't always agree with you, and you're kind of hard-headed at times. But
if you want to take a
Adriana
Friday
and
morning
Lori
every
are
now
right
and
there,
then.
they need to bring you back somehow.
I will maybe do some afternoons with some guests that we have, and I have lined up some people that are movers and shakers in the area, and we are all looking towards trying to move this region forward. And my years of arguing and doing all the other stuff that's not getting anything accomplished. And by the way, I'm very good at it. By the way, it's not that I don't. Here's the other reality of it, and I'll just cut to it in 30 seconds. This world's changed. I didn't change. I've been doing radio the same way for 20 plus years. When you have people come after you personally and you come after your businesses, which happened in my situation, I mean, I told some of my guys, I was at the office earlier that I was coming on. They're like, be careful. I have commission salespeople. I cannot have people coming after my business, which happened. It's just, I can't as CEO of a corporation. I can't do it. I can't say to my staff, we want to save 5 or 10% or be more efficient, and then have people, I had to go get an attorney because people have lost their mind and they go after you personally, which is fine with me. If you're just coming after me personally, I actually love that, to be honest with you. There's part of me. But when other people have to pay the price, I'm not bringing new people on and then having to go in and say, we may have lost business because you have an opinion about something. And that's what's happened in this world. And I think it's appalling on both sides. Both sides use the word fascism. The biggest form of fascism is when you go after people. You know it. They've been coming after you since you first did. They've been coming after me. I could withstand it when it was just me. I have too many people that are relying on Kuziak Construction, and I'm not going to lose business over coming over here and having an argument with someone in the morning. I'm just not going to do it. It's just not worth it. That's the reality of the world. And if you like a world like that, then keep doing that. Okay? If you like a world where people can have their opinions and you can agree or disagree, just like you said, and that doesn't bother you or you go after someone's business, that's where we're at in this world. It's a bad place to be. And it's not going to be good for everybody. It's not.